Hello and welcome back to the Hockey Shed, brought to you by Galvanised Hockey. I'm delighted to say that once again joining me here on the Shed sofa is our resident expert on hockey, the brilliant Ross Bone, also known to many of you as the man behind the topofthed.com. Welcome once again, Ross.
Thanks for having me back.
So last time viewers would have seen you, you were outside. Now you're back inside in the shed, but you did a fantastic interview with Lily Owsley, and I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit about anything that happened behind the scenes and kind of the general sense you got. She came across very confident, and I liked that. It's reassuring ahead of the tournament.
Yeah, I think her and the girls in general seemed quite relaxed. Sort of fair bit of mucking about in between taking pictures for the dailies and stuff like that, and seemed to be a really good vibe, really relaxed, and confident is definitely the feeling I got from speaking to her. I mean, Lily's a hugely entertaining player and interview anyway, so it was a lot of fun doing that, but yeah, she definitely is raring to go for that tournament.
And I find it really interesting because you asked early on, or you mentioned things early on which were going to be questions I was going to ask her, which is, World Young Player of the Year, European gold medal, Olympic gold medal. You kind of think, where's your enthusiasm now for hockey? Because you're like, I've kind of nailed this. This is I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to take up table tennis or something like that. What I found really nice is that when you spoke to her, she comes across like that passion still there. And if you watch the Monday Night Hockey and see the way she's playing at the moment, she's absolutely still into it. So that's great, and it certainly bodes well ahead of Auckland. So.
And the interesting thing with Lily is when she was young, she tried every single sport going. I've spoken to her about it many times. She was I think she was an 800 metre runner in the English schools championships and stuff like that. So she played everything. The one sport she says she really couldn't get on with is swimming. Apparently she's not destined to be a top swimmer, but she played everything. Obviously loves hockey. And yeah, it's great to see that sort of passion and enthusiasm that she's got for it, even, like you say, after the fact that she's won pretty much everything there is to win already. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, and I think the hockey family will be pretty pleased that that's the choice that she's made. So for those of you that aren't fully up to speed, England hockey ladies go out to North Harbour Hockey Club in Auckland for the World League. They kick off their first game on the 18th of November versus Germany. Your thoughts on who they're facing? It's Germany, China and Argentina they've got to play?
Yeah, and sort of as Lily sort of said, and Alex has alluded to in these interviews I've done, and they're three really different tests. Argentina will be aggressive, physical, loads and loads of skills, 3D skills, real kind of street fighter hockey. Germany... England and Germany have played each other so much already in this cycle. The Europeans, obviously, they beat us in the group, but we beat them in the bronze medal match. So I'm sure Danny will be fully prepared, and so will the girls for that match, and they'll know exactly what to expect from them. The really interesting one is obviously China, because China play a very different style of hockey to anything else that you'll see. And you don't encounter China very often, so it's sometimes quite hard to know what to expect from them. And then you've got the added spice of Jamie, Jamal Mulders, the former Germany coach, now being in charge of the Chinese team. So I know he's only been there a short time, but it'd be really fascinating to see what sort of an impact he's had on them, and whether he just tweaks what they do now already, or whether he completely overhauls their style and gets them playing a more European style. That'll be fascinating to see. But three very different tasks for the team. But Danny Kerry, back in the hot seat and meticulous as ever. There's no doubt that the girls will be ready for that.
And it's a really interesting. The other group as well is we've got some really high quality opposition there. There's the Netherlands, Korea, United States, who have come on leaps and bounds in recent years, and New Zealand, who are always very competitive as well, and especially on home turf. You can expect them to play up really well. So it's looking like it'll be a really exciting prospect.
Yeah, I never quite know what to make of the World League finals, because it always feels like it is a big tournament, but it always feels like there are bigger tournaments. So I sometimes feel like some of the teams use it as a means of sort of giving some of the younger players a bit of experience, a bit of a proving ground. Danny's made 4 changes to the squad from the last tournament and brought in a few players that are maybe not as experienced as some of the others. So it's Erica Sanders, Livy Page, Grace Balston's back in, and Susie Petty. So, I'm fascinated to see how those guys get on. Erica Sanders is a proven goal scorer, scored 14 league goals in the Premier Division last year. Livy Page is a player who's got Premier League pedigree. She made her Premier League debut in her teens for Reading alongside Kate Richardson-Walsh, Helen Richardson-Walsh, Alex Danson. So, decent pedigree there. Both Birmingham University players as well, so come off the feel-gooder and production line there, as most of the players that we have around the squad seem to have done. Susie Petty, so pleased to see her she's had a terrible run of injuries. She made her senior debut in 2013, and then basically has had a run of injuries, a spell in the under-21s as captain, and sort of you starting to worry about whether she would get her chance. So to see her kind of battle back from injury and get the opportunity at last, I'm so happy for her, and I think it's going to be a fantastic experience. And then Grace Paulston's a player I've got a lot of time for. I've watched sort of her development over the years. Sort of Mel Clulo taking her under her wing at Canterbury and helping Grace to become a really good defender. She's also an excellent penalty corner threat. So yeah, those four changes. It's really exciting to see how those guys do. Added to the exciting players we've got already, the experienced players as well. It should be a great tournament for England.
It's definitely interesting what you say about how you rank it in terms of the tournaments. It'd be interesting to speak to the players themselves and see sort of, I guess for the four that you've mentioned there, this is going to be the biggest tournament in a long time. Whereas for the likes of Danson, who's been round the block and she's played in all these tournaments at every level and probably might have a slightly different view of it. So it'd be interesting to see what they say. On a slightly different tack, also facing Germany very soon, Great Britain's men's squad was announced this week. What were your thoughts on that? Squad of 24, so there's a lot of names to pick from, and I can't really see, looking at that, it looks like a tough task to whittle that down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 3-test series, so I imagine they'll probably play a squad of 18, and some will rotate in, and some will rotate out. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe rests some of the senior pros, like a Barry Middleton or someone like that, because he's obviously already aware of what those players are going to offer to him. It's a great chance for us to look at some of the Scottish players. So Alan Forsyth obviously scored 10 goals in the league this season, already to go with the million he's got over the last few seasons. So great to see Alan up there. Grasic, similar to the story with Susie Petty, Chris Grasic had a horrific knee injury in the last cycle, and it's been a real fight for him to get back. And what's great is that even after such a terrible injury, he's still a class player, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what he can do and seeing him back in the sort of top level international fold as well after everything he's been through. So I mean, it's I think it'll be sort of an experience building trip. There's a few young players in that squad. Ed Haller's another one who's going along, who he's scored goals at under 21s, but this is where he'll learn what it's like, playing against the big boys kind of thing. But he's a talented player that we're going to have a look at. Liam Ansell's, I've seen him play a couple of times for East Grinstead, and he looks a class player as well. So a chance for him to get some international experience. I mean, it's a fantastic time at the moment with the men's and the women's England squads. There's so many exciting players. It's great. It's really really nice to look at. Sorry, correct myself. Great Britain, not England. There. Sorry, Amy Gibson will be straight on about that. Apologies. I'll get that right.
Great Britain men kick off that on the 13th, 14th and 16th of their 3 fixtures, all against Germany. So while we're talking about hockey over on the continent, they will have just wrapped up now for the winter break. And I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on whether this is... it's a conversation that's been had many times around clubhouses around the country, whether we should do the same thing over here.
Yeah, it's a funny one really, because... from a completely selfish standpoint, I think leave it as it is, because I'm rubbish at indoor It doesn't play to my strengths at all because I'm a big fat bloke and you have to be nimble and athletic and stuff like that. So from a selfish perspective, I leave it as it is. However, I understand the world doesn't revolve around me. So yes, I completely see the logic behind us having a winter break in England. It's cold, games are getting frozen off. You maybe get 3 or 4 games frozen off this half of the season, or just the other side of Christmas. You then end up playing double headers later on in the season, which for an old man like me, my body's not capable of 2 games in a weekend. But also, I don't think it allows you to get the best quality of hockey in those situations. But I think also, I think indoor doesn't seem to be very important in England, and I think that's a real shame. As much as I'm rubbish at it, I do think it's a really good basis for skill. Nobody got worse as a player by playing indoor. You only have to look at the quality it gives. The German players and the Dutch players, the basics it gives them. I know it'd be a sort of a logistical challenge for England hockey or whoever it is that would be running those leagues, but I think go indoors, don't have games sort of snowed off over the sort of next couple of months. Go indoors, have a really good indoor season, come back outdoors when it's a bit warmer, extend the season. I think it would be one to sort of puzzle over in terms of the logistics and finding the facilities and how you'd set the leagues up and what they'd look like and stuff. But I think absolutely a winter break would be great.
Shall we have a look at this weekend's results in the English Premier League?
Yeah.
Let's start with the ladies, the women. Which of the results there has caught your eye?
I think Buckingham picking up another win is a really big result for them. I mean, make no mistake about it, Clifton are not having their best season, but they are still a really, really good side, a really hard side to beat. So for Buckingham, a lot of people would have been looking at them as the newly promoted side and possibly tagging them for a scrap near the bottom. And at the moment, they're absolutely flying. They've scored 11 goals. They've got 7 different scorers for those 11 goals. So it really shows you that they're not just reliant on one person. They're scoring from all over the place. So yeah, that's kind of the sort of story of the real success story so far. I think what's on the flip side of it, at the other end of the table, Bowden getting a late goal to beat Leicester could prove to be a massive result for Bowden. Not only have they made sure that the teams above them haven't got away from them with that winner, they've also given themselves a little bit of a cushion from Canterbury, who are quite surprisingly at the bottom at the moment. So I think those two play each other this weekend as well. So obviously Bowden will be going out looking to win that one, as will Canterbury, but that sort of 5-point cushion they've given themselves from last weekend means that should Bowden fail to win this weekend, it's not a disaster. It's certainly not what they want, but they've given themselves a little bit of margin for error at this stage in the season. So I think another goal, another double for Nat Ray, really, really important for them.
And if we have a quick look at the table here, it does look quite different to when you were last here.
Yeah.
Certainly University of Birmingham, for a start, are in a very different position to last time we were here.
Yeah, I mean they've started to hit some consistency. I always think it takes them a little while to find their feet, just because of the turnover of players they have every year. I mean, every year they have to rebuild their side, not quite from scratch, but they have to kind of start again. And for them to remain not only competitive in the Premier League, but actually at the top end year after year is a real credit to the job that Phil Gooderham's done there and the players that they've got. And Lily Ousley's on fire at the moment. I mean, teams are absolutely terrified of her, and they should be. She's tearing people apart.
And there's a few interesting results in the men's Premier League as well this weekend. Some good high-scoring games. Which of those caught your eye?
Yeah, similar with the women's. It's Canterbury at the bottom. I'm starting to worry a bit about them, to be honest. They're averaging conceding 5 goals a game, which is too many, basically at any level, but particularly at this level. I know they're a bit unfortunate to come up against one of the most informed players in the league in Nick Banderak at the weekend, who scored 4 goals. He was on fire, but I mean, Canterbury are shipping goals. They're not scoring at the other end either. Only scored 8 goals, so that's troublesome for them, and it's starting to look a little bit like it's going to be a straight fight between them and Sevenoaks for who goes straight down and who goes into the playoffs. I watched Sevenoaks a couple of weeks ago against East Grinstead, and they looked quite neat and tidy, quite compact. They looked like they'd shored things up a little bit, but my worry was that they didn't look like creating an awful lot. That said, the big saving grace for them is they've got Andrew Ross, who scored 7 goals this season. He's their penalty corner threat, so they've got a chance, just by the fact that they're scoring some goals. I know Canterbury beat Sevenoaks a couple of weeks ago, but unless Canterbury can stop leaking the goals, they could be in some real trouble there, which is a real shame for me, because Canterbury's one of my favourite clubs. So I would hate to see both of them at the bottom of the league. So it's so tight at the top there. It's great to see Beeston and East Grinstead and Reading back amongst it as well. Holcombe have hit some form as well. Hampstead has sort of gone under the radar a little bit, but 2 goals from Matt Guys-Brown this weekend helped them to get a very useful win over Reading. So, I mean, they will have a say in it as well. I mean, it's so difficult to call, but I'm still backing Wimbledon to get themselves in there. I can't flip-flop after 4 weeks or whatever it's been.
Sure.
I'm sticking with them. They're definitely going to get in there.
It's right. It's interesting just to see how much it's developed in that time alone, and I think it's getting pretty exciting as we get close to the Christmas break. It's hotting up nicely. I think from myself and Ross, that's it for the Hockey Shed for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.